Here's a funny one. The left are currently obsessed with stats, the figures, and the overwhelming success of Catherine Connolly becoming the new president of Ireland. But I'm going to give you some really interesting stats. I'm going to give you the the spoil the vote campaign versus the stats of, let's just concentrate, we'll say, on Catherine Connolly's campaign, right? And when you say, what have we achieved? Are the government worried? When I read out these stats, you're going to realize not only just how worried they are, but just as to why they are so worried, and why, even whether something comes of this or not, why all the rumblings are going on about Micheál Martin is facing attack from within his own party, Simon Harris is absolutely too, and Fine Gael are working on it, and just why the United left really aren't as confident as to how they're trying to portray. I get it. I'd be doing the exact same thing. Like when Liverpool beat Grimsby, seems like that won't happen again this season. But if Liverpool beat Grimsby 6-1 in FA Cup, we're cheering, but we didn't really beat much at the end of the day, did we? So when I give you the stats here, you'll understand just how powerful the people of Ireland, the position that they're currently in. So listen to this, right? It's Catherine Connolly's campaign. 800,000 doors canvassed. Spoil the vote? 0. The average donation given to Catherine Connolly's campaign per person, €33. I think they did that just so I could say 33 and a third. We got it. Donation for spoil the vote? 0. Nobody asked for a single cent. There was 15,000 volunteers in Catherine Connolly's camp. How many volunteers were there in the spoil the vote? You couldn't count it because the whole nation got on board. 20,000 posters put up by Catherine Connolly's campaign. Spoil the vote? 0. Well, no official posters. 16,000 badges. What is it with these political fucking parties and their obsession with badges? Spoil the vote? 0. 1,000 jumpers. Spoil the vote? 0. Here's a funny one. 213,740 followers on their social media. Michael McCarthy has almost 1 million, and that's just on Instagram. You combine all our followers on all our social media platforms, we're through the fucking roof. 9 podcasts. Don't think we did any podcasts, did we? Oh, we did. We did 1 or 2, maybe with Eddie. That was about it. 1,500 packed into Vicar Street. That was the same night a 10-year-old child was sexually assaulted by an immigrant that shouldn't have been in the country up in City West. Yeah, we didn't do a Vicar Street that night. 1 Catherine Connolly. Bravo, Catherine. But here's the funny thing. €350,000 fundraised for the campaign. €350,000 fundraised. Do you know how much the entire expense was for the spoil the vote of what we did in our little part of the game, of the role that we played? Do you know how much that entire campaign cost us? 350,000 fundraised for Catherine Connolly. Yeah, ours cost €145, and that was to hire the meeting room in Buswell's Hotel the day that we did the press release. So when we look at the money that was run just in Catherine Connolly's campaign, and I can guarantee you it was the same for the Fianna Fáil campaign, even though they didn't run one in the end. It was the same for the Fine Gael candidate. You could argue they didn't really run one in their campaign either. But each of those would have spent close to a minimum of €500,000 each. Spoil the vote? €145. So when you ask, don't forget, no posters, no nothing, none of that kind of shit. When you ask, why are the government so worried? It's very simple. because we generated, with so many people involved, a grassroots movement that got up off their ass on the morning, day, and evening of the election, almost 215,000 of us, to deliberately spoil our vote. And when you hear them say that, oh, you're so stupid, and that was just so ridiculous, and that was just so pathetic, they have to come out with something. They have to come out with some sort of response to what was there. And the reason why they're coming out with that is the exact same reason why they call you far right, fascist, Nazi, because they continuously have to try and play you down. You're stupid. We're not. We're the government. We have the answer to fucking everything. You guys are thick. That's how they've been trying to play you all the time. And incredibly, that's why 215,000 of us deliberately spoiled our vote on the day of the election. So when they start shouting and screaming on how successful the left, the combined left now are, they're not. They're far from it. They don't even have 25% of the support of the entire nation, because between spoil votes, Jim Gavin votes, those who didn't just couldn't be arsed getting up because there was nobody, as far as they were concerned, to vote for, they're nowhere near the powerhouse that they think they are. And they will collapse, as I keep saying, quicker than a game of Jenga, because once the cracks start popping up and popping out, they'll be disowning Catherine Connolly. Catherine Connolly will be disowning them. Sinn Féin will walk away from the Social Democrats, vice versa. The whole thing will collapse. And if you watch social media and it was, oh, social media doesn't give you a realistic. Don't forget, they tried to tell us that shit when they said we're polling 6%. Some of the polls for Spoil the Vote were at 2%. I think we all know what happened there. They have to try and play you down the best way that they possibly can. But all over social media, our new president, whether it's true or not, time shall tell, is pretty much the laughingstock of global parties, leaders, political parties around the world, saying Ireland has appointed the far, far leftist of presidents they ever could have possibly. What has gone on? What has happened? What is going on? So trust me when I say this, that it is a ticking time bomb. And when it explodes, it is going to be colossal, and not in a good way. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we are going to have some serious problems that we're going to have to fix when all this shit is over, because it's not going to end well. But the funny thing is, they turned around and they said, there was people saying, this is clearly a well-oiled machine of the Spoil the Vote. Who is funding you? Your website is absolutely unbelievable. This clearly costs a lot of money. It was done by Aidan Joyce, a fucking wizard, an absolute genius, who, like all of us, just gave his time and his ability and his talent. Bullshit. Somebody had to fucking pay all this. Somebody had to have paid to get you all together. No. That's why it's a grassroots movement. We just did our own little thing to try and promote the Spoil the Vote that so many people in the country were talking about. We just did our little thing to make it effective and try and do what we could do to help. And collectively, we brought almost 215,000 people to the ballot box to scribble all over it, to say, fuck you, in a nice, polite way. Some of us didn't, but most of us did. Fuck you, government. You're never going to do this to us again. And it cost us €145. Now, listen, you're some big company out there going, oh, geez, for €145, maybe I'll try and get that campaign team to do, something for you. We're actually, we'll be expensive, trust me. But when it's grassroots, like what we just did and how we just succeeded what we did and how everybody combined pulled an incredible result, don't forget, the government spent a minimum of €500,000 on each of their candidate campaigns. We spent €145. And do you know why our result is so strong and so powerful? Because it was brought by honesty, integrity, people that really believed in what they were saying. And what it showed, and this is why the government are shitting themselves, is there is a shitload of us that think the exact same way. You think they're not worried? They are fucking rattled. Trust me. €145. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Let me know in the comments. Am I batshit crazy? Or do I have a point?